Narrator, history is full of turning points, moments so fragile that the weight of an entire civilization rests on something so small. It borders on the invisible. A single overlooked number, a microscopic flaw buried deep in the foundation of the digital world. And yet, it carried the potential to bring everything crashing down. We live in a world governed by machines, by code we never see, by silent logic running in the dark, dictating everything from bank transactions to satellites orbiting overhead. And one day, humanity realized a chilling truth. A simple O in the wrong place could make the entire planet tremble. This is not fiction. This is the true story of the year 2000 bug. Y2K, a crisis so strange, so silent, that it haunted the world long before midnight arrived. Scene, a digital clock transitions slowly from 1999 to 2000. Narrator, the fear was invisible. No explosions, no enemies. Only a tiny detail so small it felt absurd, threatening to unravel the modern world. New Year's Eve, the night humanity should have celebrated the future. Instead, it held its breath. Experts warned, if the wrong 00 appeared at midnight, entire global systems could freeze simultaneously. Finance, electricity, air travel, transportation networks, all vulnerable to collapse. A single number had the power to drag civilization back into darkness. And that terrifying possibility almost became reality. Part 1. The invisible threat. WowVerse identity flashes softly, minimalist, cosmic, high-tech, fade. Closing parenthesis. Narrator, welcome to WowVerse. Today, we revisit one of the most suspenseful nights the modern world has ever known. A moment when humanity watched not the fireworks, but the clocks. Before we explore the midnight that shook the world, we must understand how fragile everything truly was. Picture this: within moments of a single New Year's Eve, banks could stop functioning, national databases could dissolve into meaningless symbols, power stations could fail, aircraft mid-flight could lose their temporal reference, and satellites circling the Earth could experience cascading errors, all because a machine could no longer tell today from a century ago. A tiny flaw had the potential to cripple a civilization built entirely on time. The fear spread across nations. Governments spent billions of dollars to defend themselves from a threat no one could see, but everyone felt. This was not fear of storms, quakes, or war. It was fear of silence, fear of the unseen, fear of the fragile digital heartbeat we trust every day. Without noticing it, Y2K revealed a truth few had considered. The world is far more dependent on the invisible than on the visible. Part 2. The origins of the bomb. Narrator, ironically, the crisis began with a logical choice, a clever shortcut made by early programmers in the 1960s. Through the 1980s, memory was scarce, storage was expensive, truly more costly than gold. Every byte had value. So they made a decision. Instead of storing a 4-digit year like 1969, they stored only the last 2 digits, 69. It saved space. It made sense. But no one imagined that this tiny optimization was planting the seed of a time bomb. As the year 2000 approached, a terrifying question emerged. What happens when 99 becomes 00? Would computers recognize the year 2000 or snap back to 1900? If machines could no longer understand time, how could the systems they controlled continue to function? The story escaped the confines of engineering. News networks amplified worst-case scenarios. Simulations showed computers jumping back a century, financial systems collapsing, medical records corrupting instantly, transport schedules folding into chaos, and industrial machinery freezing. Anxiety seeped into the public consciousness. A quiet dread settled across the globe. To feel that dread, you must understand the world of the 1990s. An era before continuous updates, before modern automation. Most infrastructure relied on machines built decades earlier, old, rigid, and never designed to face the year 2000. Inside them was logic set in stone, code that no one questioned. And with the new millennium approaching, humanity realized, what happens when machines built for the past must suddenly step into the future? Part 3. The race against the unseen. Narrator, once that question surfaced, the countdown began. Humanity entered a frantic, multi-year sprint to prevent a disaster that had never happened, but could strike at a single, synchronized moment. Nations began dissecting their infrastructure, power grids, emergency systems, air traffic control, ATM networks, financial databases, classified military systems. The deeper they looked, the more interconnected everything became. One tiny fault could cascade outward, rippling through countless other systems. This was the real terror of technology. We built these machines, but we no longer fully understood how deeply they were tied together. Reports flooded governments. Experts confessed they could not predict the precise outcome, because nothing like this had ever happened in human history. This wasn't a clock ticking forward. It was billions of clocks, digital heartbeats, shifting simultaneously. Even if a small percentage failed, the chain reaction could be catastrophic. And so began the invisible war. Narrator, engineers usually invisible, often overlooked, became the front-line defenders of civilization. They worked in cold server rooms lit by the flicker of screens. They slept on office floors. They lived on caffeine and code. They patched systems while they were running, as if repairing a ship in the middle of the ocean. The work was brutal. Documentation was missing. Original programmers had retired or passed away. Some machines were so old, they could not even be opened. Fixing them felt like archaeology. Decoding ancient logic, reverse engineering lost languages. One wrong assumption could destroy everything and force the team to start again. Narrator, the effort became global. Governments, corporations, banks, airlines, power companies, telecommunications, all working together to prevent a midnight meltdown. Costs rose into the hundreds of billions, but compared to the possibility of global collapse, that price seemed small. Throughout the late 1990s, engineers ran endless simulations, millions of dress rehearsals for a single moment. The world had never prepared for anything like this. Part 4. The night the world stopped to listen. Narrator, December 31st, 1999. The tension spilled beyond server rooms into supermarkets, banks, and living rooms. People stocked food, withdrew cash, prepared for a technological apocalypse, not because they knew something, but because no one knew anything. As midnight approached, one belief sustained humanity. If we were smart enough to create these systems, maybe we were smart enough to save them. Fireworks rose, but the world watched the clocks. Control rooms were fully manned, data centers glowing. Engineers leaned over keyboards, eyes fixed on the moment. Would the world survive the jump? Clock strikes midnight, and then nothing. Lights stayed on. Planes stayed in the air. Banks continued processing. Satellites remained stable. There were glitches, small, scattered, harmless, but the apocalypse never came. The world exhaled. Part V. The power of silent preparation. Narrator, many outsiders laughed at the aftermath. They called Y2K exaggerated, overblown, a false alarm. But those who fought the invisible war knew the truth. Y2K wasn't harmless. It was prevented. The greatest success of Y2K was that nothing happened. And this is the paradox of prevention. When you succeed, the world thinks you did nothing. Scene, programmers resting after months of work, empty coffee cups, dark data centers, slowly powering down. Looking back, Y2K is more than a technical footnote. It is a mirror revealing a deeper truth about our civilization. We are fragile, but we are also remarkably resilient. A tiny decision from decades earlier, a shortcut to save memory, nearly spiraled into a global crisis. Yet through preparation, discipline, and unseen labor, millions protected a world that never realized how close it came to the edge. Y2K did not end in disaster, but it also did not happen by chance. It remains a warning. Small errors, ignored long enough, grow into giants. And a reminder, the stability of our world rests on countless invisible acts of responsibility, performed by people whose names we will never know. Part VI. The lesson for our future. Scene, modern networks, AI clusters, satellites, global maps of data flow. Narrator, today, our systems are even more complex, more connected, more fragile. The lesson of Y2K is timeless. Do not wait for crisis. Do not ignore the small things. Do not assume the machine will take care of itself. Whether in technology or daily life, the quiet habits you build today become the systems you depend on tomorrow. Small, consistent actions are far more powerful than last-minute rescues. They are the silent code writing the future. Narrator, before we end, WowVerse asks you, in your life right now, what is one small but dangerous detail you often overlook? Share your thoughts below. Your reflection may help someone else see the next ticking time bomb in their own life. If this story resonated with you, subscribe to WowVerse. You help us create more cinematic journeys through technology, history, and the hidden forces shaping our universe. We'll see you in the next episode. Narrator final, steady tone, think differently, live consciously. This is WowVerse. Thank you for watching.